Did you know the last time our national voting process was changed was back in 2006? Today, my purpose is to persuade you to support the passage of H.R. 1 for the People Act. As a U.S. service member, I'm always interested in debates that could change the United States Constitution, a document I swore to defend with my life. Thus, I have researched and provided you with correct and factual information. As Americans, we always need to be learning and listening about the laws that can affect our voices to the federal government, and that voice is the power to vote. I believe that after hearing what I have to say about this topic, you too will support the passage of H.R. 1. I'll begin with the problem, followed by explaining some of the causes, and then to conclude with the solution. With our roadmap in place, let us begin with the problem. And that problem is the U.S. senators that opposed passing H.R. 1. For example, Minority Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican, says his party does not support H.R. 1. Senate Minority Leader McConnell wrote in 2019 an article to the Washington Post, an American daily newspaper published in Washington, D.C., titled H.R. 1 is really the Democratic Politician Protection Act, claiming, and I quote, "Democrats want to rewrite the rules to favor themselves and their friends." Another example is U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat who does not support H.R. 1. In an interview with Vox senior political correspondent Andrew Porkop, Senator Joe Manchin said he's inclined to oppose any party-line efforts that overhaul voting in the country. Together, these two examples show the problem is within the United States Senate for keeping the resolution from being law. This problem, though, gives rise to different causes to people claiming this bill should not pass. And there are two primary reasons some people oppose passage of H.R. 1 for the People Act. The first reason comes from believing that H.R. 1 would violate the United States Constitution election clause. According to attorney David B. Rivkins Jr. and senior policy analyst Jason Sneed's June 2021 article, H.R. 1 would steamroll the Constitution, published by the Wall Street Journal. Congress would violate the election clause because it only has the rights to alter the time, place, and manner of which the election is held. However, within the Constitution, you can also find the answer to support H.R. 1. According to Trevor Porter, founder of Campaign Legal Center and former chairman of the Federal Election Commission, and author of H.R. 1 isn't at all an unconstitutional bill, published in the Wall Street Journal's Eastern Edition in 2021, said that the 14th and 15th Amendment of the Constitution gives Congress the power to eliminate racial discrimination and voting in the democratic process. The second reason comes from believing H.R. 1 is seen as too partisan. On the Library of Congress webpage, congress.gov, you can see in the roll call votes from August of 2021 when the bill was being voted to have a debate on the Senate floor. It was a 50-50 split along party lines, with 60 votes needed to have this debate. However, this vote does not support the American people's view. A national poll conducted by the Data for Progress and Equal Citizens in January 2021 showed that a majority of Republicans, 56%, Independents, 68%, and Democrats, 77%, support H.R. 1, thus proving that the bill is vastly popular amongst the majority of Americans across all political spectrums. With the problem and some of the cases in mind, let us turn to my solution. And that solution, which is supporting H.R. 1, offers two primary benefits. The first benefit is to rid the country of roadblocks put in place by politicians to limit representation. According to a 2020 article posted in the Boston College Law Review by Michael S. King, Hyperpartisan Gerrymandering, found evidence of partisan bias in 18 states where the legislative control the redistricting, and one party had unified control of the state government, thus allowing them to be kept in control of power and not the voters. And this limits the voices to only a small district. With H.R. 1 in place, gerrymandering will become illegal and states will have to draw their districts more fairly. The second benefit comes from the bill starting the healing process for bipartisanship. In another national poll conducted by Data for Progress in April 2021, a breakdown of questions showed that mostly everyone has similar views. Of the 1,100 voters, 83% support modernizing election infrastructure, 72% support establishing the use of nonpartisan redistricting commissions, and 84% supported limiting the influence of money in politics. This shows that this is not a Democrat or Republican issue, but just an American one. In conclusions, we must get our representatives to pass H.R. 1. Let us review what we have learned today. First, we learned the problem is that U.S. senators oppose passing H.R. 1, from Republicans like Senator Mitch McConnell to Democrats like Joe Manchin. Next, we learned the cause created from this problem, believing that H.R. 1 violates the U.S. Constitution election clause, and is also seen that H.R. 1 is just too partisan. However, we now know that the 14th and the 15th Amendment gives Congress the power to eliminate racial discrimination laws and processes in the democratic process, and that poll data disproves any partisan ploy. Finally, we learned that the benefits of passing H.R. 1, and they are to rid the roadblocks placed by politicians to limit representation, and to start the healing process for bipartisanship legislation. I implore you all to reach out to your senators and tell them to support the passage of this bill today. Democracy is an ongoing social experiment, and it's time for us to be ready to protect our right to vote and update our election laws.